And I begin with this one because it hits this idea of value. He talks about 4 things that invasive biology agrees on. 1, that costs of all of the removal strategies are credible. Okay, meaning they're believable. And look at that. They're upwards of 120, 130 billion dollars a year. That's a huge amount of money. 2nd, invasive biologists believe that they are all a threat. Okay. 3rd, they believe that there's things about an invasive species that you can recognize. In other words, if you walk out there and see invasive species, you should be able to recognize there's characteristics about them that make them look different than native things. Therefore, the native habitat becomes degraded. Okay, in invasive biology's way of speaking. Does that make sense? Okay. And finally, he discusses this wonderful term. This is one of the things I get my students really going on. Now keep in mind, I've got business students, I've got students coming from all over, and they get presented with this term, ontological dualism. And I say, tell me what that means. Does anyone know? Ontological dualism. Love it. Okay, so you know what dualism means, right? Basically, there's 2 things, 2 views, if you will. Ontological dualism in this context, Sagoff is saying, invasive biologists really believe that there's actually a separation between humans and nature. Ontology really means kind of way of being or a way of becoming. And so ontology, this dualism, is the idea that humans are kind of over here and nature's kind of over here. And so there's this dualist perspective that humans have done all this. It's our fault that all of this stuff is happening in invasive species, so therefore we have to find ways to kind of manage. Does that make sense? And I get my students thinking about some interesting questions. Do you think that humans are actually somewhere up here and nature's sort of all over here, or are we one?